It's like Justin Baldoni saying, I'd love to work with Blake again.
Ooh, and even the audience is like laughing, but like, should we laugh on this given what you did last week?
Blake Lively has everyone's attention, and this time it's not for a blockbuster or a fashion moment. Word has spread that she's filing an $80 million lawsuit against Saturday Night Live after a tense on-air incident that left the actress feeling exposed in front of millions. How did one night's comedy sketch escalate into a legal showdown with one of television's biggest institutions? And what does this high-stakes battle reveal about the lengths celebrities will go to protect their image? Let's dive into the chain of events behind this jaw-dropping clash between Blake and the iconic late-night show. To me, this shows SNL playing its cards. They clearly know Blake Lively is taking serious action.
To me, this shows SNL playing its cards of, yeah, they're clearly, they know Blake Lively is crazy.
Today's story revolves around a surprising series of events involving Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and a devastating on-air jab that spiraled into a legal and public relations upheaval. People watched them go from one of Hollywood's most beloved couples to facing embarrassment on live TV, a new scandal about Ryan's comments, and a scramble to control the narrative through extraordinary means. Let's break down how it all happened. Given her past reactions, she's going to have the same response. Wait a second, why are you making fun of me? I thought you had our back. What's going on?
And given the appearance, she's gonna have this same reaction of, wait a second, why are you making fun of me? I thought you had our back, Sarah Live. What's going on?
Not too long ago, Saturday Night Live aired a segment in which one of its regulars, Colin Jost, slipped in a remark that seriously rattled Blake and Ryan. This mention took their ongoing legal drama, already rumored to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and launched it into the mainstream spotlight. Suddenly, everyone on social media was buzzing about Blake Lively's lawsuit, Ryan's involvement, and what had been whispered behind the scenes for months. And then we've also got this story, Justin Baldoni. Now, as you know, these jokes are written sometimes up until the minute.
And then we've also got this story, Justin Baldoni. Now, as you know, these jokes are written like sometimes up until the minute.
The setup was simple. Ryan Reynolds decided to appear on SNL at a moment when he and Blake were already under pressure. They were dealing with rumors of trouble from another celebrity, Justin Baldoni, who allegedly had a complicated history with Blake. Right in the midst of all that, Ryan appeared in a comedic bit, apparently believing a lighthearted cameo was the right move despite a legal storm. One single offhand question, "Hey Ryan, how's it going?" led to him joking in a way that implied he was anxious about hidden issues. The audience seemed torn between laughter and shock, sensing something real was hanging in the air. Who else has a question? I have a question. Oh, hi Ryan Reynolds. Hey, how's it going? Great. Why, what have you heard?
Who else has a question?
I have a question.
Oh, hey, Ryan Reynolds.
Hi.
Hey. How's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Enter Colin Jost, whose off-the-cuff yet likely carefully planned commentary took aim at Justin Baldoni wanting to work with Blake again. It referenced a larger political analogy, but suddenly flipped to targeting Blake herself. Many viewers felt that was a big risk, a comedic zinger tying Justin's supposed desire to collaborate again to a possibly doomed political relationship. It was a quick line, but it landed with force. Colin is married to Scarlett Johansson, who Ryan Reynolds allegedly, the rumors are, cheated on with Blake Lively. Some online voices pointed out that Colin is married to Scarlett Johansson, famously one of Ryan Reynolds' exes, adding another layer of intrigue. Whatever the intent, the crowd grasped that a loaded personal dig had just been leveled on live television.
Colin is now married to Scarlett Johansson, who Ryan Reynolds allegedly, the rumors are, cheated on her with Blake Lively.
The internet exploded. People love dissecting every nuance of big Hollywood relationships, and this was prime material. Listen to Colin crack even before he says it, because he knows this is going to get me in trouble, which is like Justin Baldoni saying, "I'd love to work with Blake again." News outlets and fans latched onto that short moment. Many said it was catastrophic for Blake's carefully shaped image as a gracious, relatable star. Suddenly, articles appeared questioning her authenticity, re-examining old rumors, and mocking the idea that Justin Baldoni would ever want to work with her again. Social media erupted with theories, memes, and heated debates. Within 24 hours, 3.5 million people had viewed or reposted snippets of the joke, turning it into a viral phenomenon. According to whispers in the industry, Blake panicked. This was not just another negative headline. This was an everyone is laughing, pointing fingers, and losing trust situation.
What? Listen to Colin crack even before he says it, because he knows this is gonna get me in trouble.
Which is like Justin Baldoni saying, I'd love to work with Blake again.
Some older interviews where fellow A-listers once praised Blake were revisited, now with cynicism about whether that praise was genuine. Meanwhile, Ryan was under fresh scrutiny for apparently making jokes at a time when he should have been quietly handling their shared crisis. Or playing, oh, why is there something wrong? Yet clearly the joke didn't hit. The joke didn't hit. In an attempt to manage the fallout, Blake made a dramatic move. She hired Nick Shapiro, an individual with reported ties to high-level intelligence work, including alleged involvement in media-focused crisis management. People found this unusual. Hollywood stars do bring in crisis PR, but rarely someone with a background in intelligence operations. That level of involvement signaled how desperate or serious the situation might have become for her. Why? Because we're making light of the whole situation, because it centers on your wife accusing a guy, right? That's why it's a no laughing matter.
Her playing, oh, why? What? Is there something wrong? Yet clearly, guys, the joke didn't hit. The joke didn't hit.
Online commentators pointed out how Blake had previously criticized others, like Justin Baldoni, for using strong PR tactics to sway public opinion. They said it was hypocritical for her to label Justin's actions manipulative, then bring in someone rumored to have managed political level controversy. Suddenly, the lawsuit chatter took on a new dimension. It felt like a campaign of narrative control, with the press inundated by articles proclaiming huge win for Blake or judge backs Blake's legal strategy. But if you looked closely, there was little actual evidence of her scoring big legal victories. Observers noted that Blake's requests in court had reportedly been scaled back or rejected despite headlines insisting it was all going her way. What's fascinating, though, is the judge denied it. The judge was like, nope, you do not have a good enough excuse. Instead of diffusing the drama, each new PR push seemed to call more attention to the core conflicts. Some fans began asking why, if Blake's case was so strong, she needed these extraordinary measures. Rumors spread that the judge had dismissed a portion of her demands as overreaching. Credibility began to fracture. People who might otherwise have supported Blake's cause suddenly doubted the entire premise. Learning more about Blake, her mother, the way she is, just the entitlement and selfishness and demands she needs to have in order to have authority, it doesn't surprise me that she has spun this narrative in her favor.
Why? Because, we're making light of the whole situation because it centers on your wife accusing a guy of, right? That's why it's no laughing matter. So
Meanwhile, coverage turned toward Ryan Reynolds, who faced a separate embarrassing controversy. An old clip resurfaced in which he told a story about unintentionally staring at a woman who was breastfeeding in public. While that might have been dismissed as just awkward comedic storytelling, it collided with Blake's allegations against another individual, James Heath, for allegedly making eye contact while she was nursing. Critics said, wait, Blake condemns a man for momentary eye contact, but Ryan openly admits to staring and sees it as a funny anecdote? This exposed a double standard. If Blake considered fleeting glances deeply violating, how could Ryan's extended staring be shrugged off? That contradiction struck a nerve. People felt that the couple was applying one set of rules to themselves and another to everyone else. Ryan's comedic reputation suddenly clashed with the seriousness of Blake's allegations, undercutting sympathy for her. Those once in her corner started to wonder if her accusations had been exaggerated. This is what blew me away. When she first came out with all this, I went, what? Everyone did.
Now, what's fascinating, though, is the judge denied it. The judge was like, nope, you do not have a good enough excuse.
Then the dominoes began to fall. In Hollywood, image is everything, and support can vanish overnight. Instead of seeing big names rally behind Blake, we witnessed her co-stars and partners giving tepid, awkward responses when pressed about her. They seemed either uncomfortable discussing her or pivoted to generic statements about supporting everyone. One example was a castmate from Blake's upcoming project who was asked, how are you supporting her at this time? He answered something along the lines of, it's complicated. Another high-profile colleague gave the bare minimum of praise, mostly as a means to preserve the film's marketability, but never enthusiastically defended her. We'll do what we want because we're more powerful than you. And he finally had enough and he countersued.
Learning more about Blake, her mother, the way she is, the entitlement and selfishness and demands she needs to have in order to have authority. It doesn't surprise me that she has spun this narrative in her favor.
Commentators pointed out that this is what happens when an A-list figure becomes a liability. No one trashes them overtly. They just step away politely until that star is left to face the storm alone. Media watchers recalled similarly swift industry pivots with other embattled celebrities in the past. Meanwhile, Ryan tried leaning into humor, something he's long been praised for, yet in the middle of a legal fiasco, that light approach seemed to highlight just how serious the accusations against them had become. On top of that, the tension with Colin Jost added layers. People speculated about how Jost's personal connection, he's married to Scarlett Johansson, ex-partner, of Ryan might be fueling or influencing these quips. Whether or not that's the case, many concluded that Ryan's comedic style was no longer charming the public as it once did.
This is what blew me away. When she first came out with all this, I went, what he is, you know? And
Everyone did.
Yes, she's allowed to have one, but why were you criticizing Justin? So anything Justin does is retaliation. Anytime he defends himself is retaliation? Nonsense. And you're telling me, Blake, you didn't leak this out? Blake reportedly doubled down. Instead of quietly letting the chatter die down and focusing on her legal arguments, she used public relations techniques that felt overzealous. Some outlets posted triumphant headlines about her lawsuit claiming she'd won a crucial victory, but legal observers pointed out that the actual court documents did not substantiate those glowing articles. Her requests, it seems, had largely been denied or restricted.
Yes, she's allowed to have one, but why were you criticizing Justin? So anything Justin does is retaliation? Anytime he defends himself, it's retaliation? Nonsense. And you're telling me, Blake, you didn't leak this out?
Viewers drew comparisons to big celebrity showdowns where each side tried to spin minor procedural updates into total victories. As the PR machinery churned, more people in the film and television community started keeping their distance. Big productions require bankable names with minimal baggage. If co-stars or directors sense that an actor's off-screen headlines overshadow the project, they may quietly pivot away. Producer chatter turned from praising Blake to carefully sidestepping mention of her. Even brand endorsements she was known for started to look shaky. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they're like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to fulfill.
We'll do what we want because we're more powerful than you. And he finally had enough and he countersued.
But this fallout extended beyond professional relationships and audience opinion. According to various rumor mills, there were new tensions surfacing with multiple brands and advertisers who had previously tied themselves to Blake's wholesome public image. In the past, she'd been tapped as a face for lifestyle ventures, family-friendly marketing campaigns, and even philanthropic projects. The sudden swirl of legal controversies and perceived hypocrisy threatened to fracture those long-term partnerships. Executives who once boasted about her warmth and class were now issuing guarded statements, claiming they needed more time to assess the current situation. Some industry insiders also suggested that the high profile of Blake's crisis PR tactics, especially the hiring of an ex-intelligence operative, made them skittish. It signaled to them that this was not a classic Hollywood dust-up, but rather something deeper and potentially damaging. They worried about being portrayed as complicit in media manipulation or hush-up schemes.
And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to fill.
For a celebrity best known for balancing youthful glamour with down-to-earth appeal, it was the kind of baggage that made even seasoned producers wary. His job had blank checks to make things go away so that it didn't get to the media. Short-term rentals had featured this and said the cash has been given to both hosts and guests. Meanwhile, entire online communities latched on to every shred of information, dissecting every rumored email, every snippet of alleged court documents. The situation started to resemble past celebrity showdowns that turned into social media feeding frenzies, where fans and critics pored over every detail in real time,
His job, he had blank checks to make things go away so that it didn't get to the media. Short-term rentals had featured this and said the cash has been given to both hosts and guests.
Some cornered the saga as a reflection of deeper issues in Hollywood: who receives protection, how narratives are spun, and what the consequences are when supposed double standards get exposed. Industry speculation grew about whether future films or collaborations with Blake or Ryan might be quietly put on hold. Casting directors pay close attention to online chatter. Whether fair or not, the momentum of negative sentiment can alter the perceived value of a star. If enough talk suggests that a celebrity's personal or legal woes might overshadow a project, studios often shift gears. Titles once set to star or feature cameo appearances by either of them could see a rework in marketing or even recasting choices. Cathartic, as if I'm Weasel, right? So he was like, you know what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star, but you just do just enough exposition that is funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real.
Cathartic.
As if I'm Weasel.
Right.
So he was like, you know what's great about you, Weasel? You're not the star, but you just, you do just enough exposition that it's funny, and then we can leave and get back to the real movie.
So he's riffing.
Moreover, there were hints that scripts Blake had been attached to for a while were getting passed around to confirm whether they could proceed without her involvement. Some rumored that mid-budget dramas, where her presence used to be a selling point, were now reviewing alternative leads. To the outside eye, these might look like small changes, but behind the scenes, it's a clear sign that the entertainment machine has begun hedging its bets. For Ryan, the comedic approach that once seemed so effortless was increasingly viewed as tone-deaf. Jokes that might have come across as charming in past roles, even his trademark wisecracking style as certain popular characters, started to look like deflection.
Blake clearly had no idea what kind of a mess she was getting herself into.
Commentators noted how Ryan's PR strategies typically revolve around a playful public persona, but with talk of lawsuits, ex-intelligence, PR hires, and serious allegations, the lines between comedic brand building and public denial had blurred in ways that made people question his sincerity. Blake clearly had no idea what kind of a mess she was getting herself into. Some fans voiced concern on message boards, saying they felt misled by the couple's carefully curated image. They cited older interviews where both spoke about family values, trust, and authenticity. The breastfeeding incident in particular became a flashpoint. If Blake was pressing legal arguments that a man's fleeting glance was traumatic, how could Ryan's open admission of prolonged staring be brushed off? That dissonance ignited fierce debates on social networks, turning even some loyal supporters into skeptics.
She can hire a PR crisis manager, that's fine, but if Justin does it, it's not to protect himself, but it's to destroy her.
She can hire a PR crisis manager, that's fine. But if Justin does it, it's not to protect himself, but it's to destroy her. As the saga trudged on, a meta conversation arose about the nature of public spats in modern Hollywood. When the story involves top-tier names, huge lawsuit figures, and sensational rumors, it can dominate headlines for months. Some observers drew parallels to other high-profile defamation and harassment suits that captured global attention. They pointed out how each side's moves, like strategic leaks, press releases, or cameo appearances on late-night TV, are orchestrated to sway public sympathy. Blake's intelligence-linked hire seemed to many like a particularly brazen instance of that. Meanwhile, legal experts weighed in, stressing that the ultimate outcome would hinge on verifiable evidence, documents, witnesses, consistent testimony, and not just the swirling commentary on social media. If Blake's claims lack substance, no amount of heavy-duty PR could salvage them in the eyes of a court. If Ryan kept inadvertently feeding the rumor mill with offhand remarks, it might further dilute any supportive narrative they were trying to build. This Hollywood saga is far from over, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Will Blake's $80 million lawsuit against SNL hold up in court, or will it crumble under scrutiny? Can Ryan salvage his comedic charm, or has this scandal permanently shifted how the public sees him? The answers lie in the unfolding drama, and we want you to weigh in. Share your thoughts below. Do you think Blake has a case, or is this a desperate grab for control? Is Ryan's humor helping or hurting their cause? Drop your take in the comments and join the conversation as this blockbuster showdown continues to unravel. Until next time, stay messy and stay blessed. Holly out.